Hey, my name's Rich, and this is my episode of Shut Up and Listen. It's nice to meet you, friends.
What's up?
It's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. My name is CHRVNS.
And I'm Jesse Stanton.
And this is Shut Up and Listen. And today we have one of my favorite sound people. Every time I see him, he just looks real mad at me like he don't want to see me. But you know, that's how you got a good sound guy.
Yeah, I'm not that grumpy. I'm not real grumpy.
Very, very cool gentleman that has a lot of life stories to share with us today. It's the one, the only, Rich.
Hello, friend.
Rich Canut.
Still got that? They still use that sound.
Yeah,
Oh,
sure.
yeah. The air horn never
Yeah.
goes out of style.
Yeah, they won't let me get my own. I tried to bring them my machine. They said, nah, just do it with your mouth, bro.
Yeah, one shot that thing.
was
It's always
trying
too
to.
loud, like way louder than the track.
Yeah, that's every time I start it up.
Yeah, it's annoying. Yeah.
All right, so for the people that don't know you, Rich, go ahead and tell them who you are and what you do.
So yeah, my name is Rich Canut. I've been doing audio engineering for 25 years plus, mostly live sound, tour management, but I've also run studios since 2000, primarily aggressive music, punk rock, metal bands, indie rock, that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, tour management and live sound in venues forever. So whatever band comes through, I got to do and deal with. and then touring, I ended up doing Yard Dogs Roadshow for a long time. And then that band became a band called Beats Antique, which toured heavily for, they're still touring. And
You don't know BT, you need to tap
I got
in,
too
bro.
burnt out. But yeah, I was the tour manager and front of house engineer for that band for a decade.
Wait, were you still doing it in 2015?
Yes.
Okay.
I was still doing it in 2015.
Because that was at Pemberton.
Yeah.
And that means that we were in the same place.
We were. Did you see our set?
Yes, that was the first time I saw
It was
BT.
good. I think we were on right before Bass Nectar, probably on one stage.
Yeah, and I left Bass Neck because everybody wanted to see Bass Neck, and I was like, nah, I never seen J. Cole.
Yeah. And I went over to J. Cole also.
Also,
And he put on a hell of a show.
He did. I never
Yeah, he
even
was
listened
great.
to him like that before. I'm
Nice
being
ass
honest.
dude.
You met him?
Yeah, we met him backstage, hung out with him.
Wait, pause.
Yeah, really nice guy. Really chill. Tommy talked to him for a long time, the drummer for Beats Antique.
Yeah.
Sat and chilled. We all had there's these yurts out back for your green room area. We just kind of kicked it with him. Yep.
You
That's how
said
it
he was
goes.
going to have stories from the
That's
road.
how it goes.
Yo,
You know,
what the
you're
fuck?
backstage. You're just talking to all the people that are backstage with you.
Damn.
Yeah.
His band was killer too.
Oh, yeah,
they were really
they're
tight.
all phenomenal.
It was like
yeah.
one of the few shows. Like I'd rarely go see a show after we were done, but I went and checked that out side stage. You know, just
Because
kind
that was
of
when he was doing
these guys are good.
2014 Forest Hill Drives.
I feel like somebody I knew was doing lights for that. Maybe that's why I went over there. I can't remember.
So
Crazy.
that brings up a question to me.
Mm-hmm.
All of this sort of behind the scenes industry stuff, does it ever, you mentioned getting just burnt out and not wanting to go
Oh,
see
yeah.
a show. Do you just get to that point where
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah.
not fun anymore?
Definitely,
How
I
do you
mean,
keep it fun, I guess maybe is a better
After
question.
25 years, it's definitely really difficult for me to go to a show now. Like if I'm hanging out with a buddy and they're like, let's go check out this band, I'm probably not going to do that. Like maybe if it's somebody I've heard of or like really good buddies are there or like friends in the crew or something like that. But as soon as I go into that environment, it definitely feels like I'm at work. Instead of enjoying the band, I'll just be like, man, that snare sounds fucking whack.
Yeah,
I need to figure that snare out. Like somebody's got to fix that shit.
Yeah.
You know, so it's hard not to go into work mode after so many years doing it. I still enjoy music, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I keep doing this. But yeah, going and sitting in a crowd, whereas usually I'm sitting in the sound booth or like
Got your
behind
space,
stage.
you know?
I've got my green room to go just like chill in with my free food and whatever. So yeah, general admission into a venue does not sound awesome to me.
Wait, you was usually on the rider then back in the day. Like, what was like
For our stuff,
Yeah.
for beats,
for beats? Yeah.
we would change it all the time, but it was usually pretty healthy food. I would always try to get stuff to make sandwiches, so as soon as you got there,
Make your own.
because we were working 12-hour days typically. You know, you show up at the venue, you load in, you're there all day, and you load out. You don't have time to get food. You get a buyout, but that's usually cash. So instead, I would just put on the rider stuff to make sandwiches, salads, and then everybody in the crew got something special. Like one guy asked for like a pound of gummy worms or whatever, and I'd always get a bunch of like pickles.
Yeah.
So everybody kind of got their special thing and their special booze. Just so every day you kind of felt like you were in your
got
spot.
you got your own
Yeah,
thing,
you're
yeah.
in home
Get
and you
comfortable.
bring the shit back onto the bus with you, and it's like, okay, here we go again.
Yeah.
And then you Groundhog's Day it out for 6 weeks, and then take a few weeks off, and then 6 weeks, and then fly somewhere.
I think
It's tiresome.
Let's bring it back though.
All right,
I
let's
think
go
we
back.
jump straight into like
go.
this
Yeah,
shit, and
yeah,
I
yeah,
love
I know.
this.
Yeah.
How would you phrase it? How did this start?
So I went to school for music, playing trumpet. I played trumpet from when I was in 3rd grade to my sophomore year in college.
Marching band
I did
style?
bad in college. Yeah, marching bands, pit work, jazz bands, that kind of stuff, all that kind of shit. And then, yeah, I didn't do great in college. I didn't really enjoy it, and I didn't like having to pay money to take a bunch of required classes, and really I just wanted to play music.
And find your there. I
Right.
only did college for 6 months.
And playing trumpet, it was like, okay, well, you can play trumpet where you're going to be doing pit work. If you like aggressive music, you're going to be in a ska band. If you like jazz, you're going to be playing standards. And I didn't want to do any of that. So I dropped out of college. I took the money that I had left over from savings, which I grew up in Alaska, so there was the dividend fund.
What part?
Anchorage.
Oh, shout out Anchorage.
Yeah. Dividend fund, every year you'd get X amount of money. My parents would keep half and put another half in a fund. I took the remaining money of that fund after college and bought a console and an 8-track tape machine, and that was in 96 or 7. Taught myself how to wire it up, taught myself how to wire patch bays, and then I started just tracking myself and my funny indie bands, and then my friends' bands, of course. That's how it goes, in my attic in downtown Bellingham. And then in about 2000, my friend was working at the factory, which was where the Shakedown is, and they needed an engineer. And he was like, hey, you know how to use a console? And I was like, yeah, we don't do live sound, but it looks like the same thing. It's a channel strip and some microphones. Like, I'll figure it out. And then that started. I was working at Casa at the time, cooking. I quit doing that, and then that's all I've done since.
Oh, so you were part of that original burrito, potato burrito recipe.
The original owner.
Yeah.
I worked for that guy, and he was squirrely. But
I've heard stories.
he treated us real nice, like as employees. I never had problems with him personally. The 2 people after him were real nice too, until they had like some problems.
It was
But I
just that
long
OG
gone.
recipe though.
Yeah,
That's that,
I don't think he made that recipe, but that was his recipe. So yeah, I just transitioned to doing live sound, and that paid more than the studio stuff. So I kind of made that my main thing. Built my studio into a house downtown where the bus station is. And yeah, worked out of that during the day, kind of like what I do now. I work in the day at the studio, then go to the club at night and work like 12-hour days just listening to music, listening to snare drums and figuring out how to not make them sound like shit. You know?
no matter what I do, my snare always sounds like shit.
Snare, man. Snare's the most important thing to me, almost.
Yeah.
And then in 2000, so I was doing all those venues. Factory closed. The Nightlight opened, which you had mentioned, which was a larger venue, and they didn't know anybody in town. Factory was closing, so they hired me basically on the spot before that place even opened to come and be the production manager and front of house engineer. So I started working there and getting to meet like bigger bands, like really having to ramp up my learning curve a bit, which was really good.
Can I just interject
Yeah.
for people who don't know that the
Yeah.
Nightlight is where the underground is now?
Right.
Yeah.
And for a while in the mid 2000s, they had great touring bands coming through.
Yeah,
it was
like
a spot for a while.
Kind of put Bellingham on the map as far as like a one-off spot for bands who are going to Seattle and then Vancouver, because it's right outside of what's called Radius Clause. So that's usually about 90 miles, which we're right outside of Seattle. So we could pick up these bigger bands on off nights. And the owner of the Nightlight didn't know shit about booking.
Or if they have DUI on their record and they can't get it in Canada.
Exactly.
I feel like that happens sometimes.
Oh, that happens a lot. So Matt, the owner of the Nightlight, he didn't really know much about booking, but he had a supply of money, and he would essentially throw whatever money at these bands that they wanted. So like they'd ask for a high guarantee, and he would just pay it. Wow. So that's how we got like a lot of those bigger acts to
What
come
were some
through.
of your favorite shows from that time frame?
Guru was amazing. That was probably one of the best hip hop artists I ever worked for. All of Wu-Tang, other than ODB, came through there as solo sets. So I've worked for all of them in that room. Blue Scholars came through multiple times.
At least one of those shows. That
Blue
was great.
Scholars
They
one?
were so great.
And they actually did a write-up about the Nightlight. Like, they talked about how they were, when they were quitting, they were like, it's been great, Northwest was great, Seattle mentioned some rooms, mentioned Bellingham, and said, this place, like the Nightlight, the sound is great there, the crew's great there. If you're doing West Coast hip-hop touring and you haven't been in that room, like, go check it out. Lyrics Born, when he was really hitting hard, he would come through there. Yeah, a lot of good stuff through that room, man.
Dope.
Grammy winners, like all sorts of shit.
I missed a bunch of shit when I damn it.
Yeah.
It's a good place.
And I mean, most of those acts and those agents that worked with those acts now route to the Wild Buffalo.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how, like, Nightlight was going away. Craig was in the right position to pick up those agents.
Hey, shout out to you, Craig.
Yeah, good work, Craig.
How about as far as what are some of the biggest changes you feel like you've seen over that time in terms of either what the local bands are like or what the crowds are into or how the crowds
For our
are
local
acting?
scene?
Or local
Yeah.
scene stuff. Yeah, like
So,
how do you
I
see that
mean,
as having evolved?
in the late 90s and early 2000s when I was playing music a lot, because I toured and played music a bunch too in many bands, the music community was really, really tight-knit for like punk, metal, indie rock. There was multiple small venues, Factory, 3B back in the day, famous old venue. It was really tight-knit, and everybody would go see each other's shows. Everybody would support each other. And while there's still good bands and young bands in this town, it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel as community. I know there's a really big like DIY circuit right now for like hardcore kids and stuff like that, and I think that has the same vibe, but there was really a big hole for a long time. And and then the price of living here has just gotten so fucked that artists and people who want to do art and create can't really do it here anymore. So a lot of people had to move to Portland in the early 2000s. All my friends were moving to Portland.
I've had a good surge.
But I mean, there's still
Portland,
great
Seattle.
music here. It's still a beautiful place. But yeah, that's been the biggest thing. But maybe I'm just not a part of the scene now, so I don't really see it as much. But
Oh, it's just you.
as back in the day, and it wasn't social media everywhere and this and that. You just went out to see your friends play and hung out with them. There was beef, but usually it was funny.
Yeah.
And, like, it was just a whole scene. I mean, our friend Aaron and Dominique, do you remember them? Aaron Ball, drummer.
Yeah.
They made a video about the music scene in this town in like 2002 or 2003. It's on YouTube.
Like a mini documentary kind of thing.
No, it's like a 30-minute thing. Yeah, it's like a big, long, like multi-part video about older bands in this town and the community of music in this town. It's really fucking cool. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to find that.
It's cool to see a lot of the people like young too. Like I see myself and they're like, shit, man.
I gotta see this.
I should have got a day job. I was like, living in a venue ain't healthy. But yeah, it's cool to see that. No-Fi's in there a bunch.
Yeah, I bet.
All that stuff. But yeah, I mean, the town it's still a great town, but it's just not the like music and art mecca like it felt like it was. That's why I stayed in this town in 96. I was going to move to Seattle. I didn't really like the vibe. And then there was so much happening here, like just music constantly and like good bands. I mean, that's when Death Cab was hitting and all the Barsook Records stuff. And like I was really into indie rock. AS Pop up at Western was doing tons of shows right there, and they were
Just talk
killing
about
it.
how much they used to have
They
there.
did
Yeah.
so much. It's like at least 2 or 3 times a month, you could go see like a bigger band for next to nothing. And then I'd say in about 2007 or 8, Hunter Motto moved, and then it never came back. It felt like, or kids just
It
weren't
would be
interested
interesting to
anymore.
look at the economics. I think the thing you touched on earlier about like, if you want to have a bunch of musicians in a town, you kind of need to be able to make rent by working 30, 35 hours at some kind of crappy job and then just spend all your time making music.
Any kind of art, any kind of creative
Any kind of
culture,
creative stuff.
like,
You need a bunch of
needs-
20-something people that can do that.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe those people are getting priced out now.
way priced out.
Yeah.
I mean, just the West Coast in general. Like,
We'll be right back after these messages. We'd like to give a special thanks to Lost Giant Cider Company, always providing us with our cider beverages and the best of the cider beverages. Visit Lost Giant's Tap Room in the heart of Bellingham at 1200 Meter Avenue in the Haskell Business Center. It's just down the street from Lakeway Fred Meyer.
Menace Brewing, located in the Fountain District, is where flavor is unleashed. It serves as a local hub of craft beer and community. Recognized as the neighborhood's premier soccer hangout, you know I love me some soccer. Menace Brewing isn't just a brewery, it's the go-to spot for sports action and local engagement. Visitors can catch the game, connect with fellow fans, and immerse themselves in the heart of the spirited community. Menace Brewing invites everyone to join them, where every visit feels like coming home. Experience Menace Brewing in Bellingham today.
And welcome back.
when Beats Antique was touring really hard, I lived in the Bay Area for 2 years, and I liked it there. But when I decided to not tour as much, I couldn't live there, so I came back here, and that was 2012 or 13, and it was cheap here then. Like I rented a house for $1,100. That was like 3-4 bedroom, 1,800 square feet. Now that place is like probably $2,500, $3,000.
Yep.
And they haven't fixed shit with it.
It's the same as it when it was built,
like,
bro.
Janky ass house.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. All right, so
I do love it here. Like I love this town.
So let's bring it back. So how'd you get into the tour managing then? So you went from doing like the sound and having your studio, and then where does that go? So I feel like
I was doing the Nightlight in 2006. A band called Yard Dogs Roadshow came through, and they had just lost their sound engineer, and they got my name when they left. They're like, you were easy to work with, blah blah blah. They called me up randomly and just said, hey, like, you know, months later or something. They're like, hey, we need somebody to go out. We're going to Portugal in a month and a half. Do you want to go? And I had just split up with my fiance, and I was like, yeah, give me the
Take me to Portugal.
I was like,
Get
give me
me
the
outta
fuck
here.
out of here. And it was like nothing. It was like, we'll give you like $400 a week and pay for all your stuff. I'm like, I don't care what you pay. Just get me the hell out of here.
he said, "Let me get my passport right real
I
quick."
didn't even really remember the people. Like they weren't my friends or anything. So I jumped on an airplane.
you
I
just
flew to
send it.
Oakland, met the band, and then the next day flew to Portugal. And then I worked with them for 4 years until they broke up.
that's crazy.
Yeah, and then so a year after I joined as just the sound engineer, the guy who was the tour manager at the time and kind of the manager of the band, really, he decided that he didn't want to be on the road anymore. And he was just like, well, you do production management at a venue, so you do the advance work from that side. How about you just try it from the band side? I'll do one tour with you. And he kind of showed me the ropes of doing that and dealing with the money for the band. And then I just switched to doing that. It was a way to get more money on the road, really.
Oh.
And then it turned into the fucking babysitting adults.
Yeah.
Which,
Hey, no, I need you back at the hotel.
Yeah. It's like, all right, dude. It's like, you guys are 40 years old. I think you can figure out when to get up and like get to the show. Like, come on, man.
You would think.
No.
Then they
You
would
would
need a
think.
tour manager. Give us what's your best? Give us your like strangest moment you ever found yourself in as a tour manager on the road.
Oh man, there's a
Hit us with a couple. We got time.
Just where you're like, what
kind
am
of-
I doing here?
like
How
kind of
did I
messed
get
up
here?
ones. I mean, there's
sure.
Whatever you.
Messed up or funny or
I mean, a lot of times you're just grinding out day to day. So like, shit doesn't get that weird. Usually, like the festivals can get weird. Like they send you to some weird ass festival in the middle of nowhere, and then you're trying to get paid from some weird dude in a shack, and he's trying to get you to do blow off some lady like that. Like, so like stuff like that would happen. But usually it was like, we're here, we're doing our thing, and then we're out of here. There's very little downtime.
Yeah.
Touring overseas, I'm trying to think about just super weird stuff.
Which is the crazy show experience or anything to just say it's.
Crazy shows. I mean, we
Anything that
did
just,
we
like,
did
blew it out
huge
the top.
trance festivals in Europe, and those were pretty insane. So it would just be us, and like we're a band, so that I would always throw people off. And we
Yeah.
get these huge raves, like 50, 60,000 people in the woods in like Hungary. Those are always pretty psychedelic. We were on this like big crazy stage that was shaped like a dragon. They built a dragon into a stage, and the tail wrapped around the forest. And the production manager at that one, he was just wasted. And he would just come up, and he had this stuff, like, I forget what it was. It was like whatever kind of moonshine they make over there, out of plums, I think it was. And he would just make us drink it. And you couldn't, it was like rude to say no, like one of those kind of things.
Yeah.
So we're just like getting hammered. And then it would be like, okay, man, we got to start soon. Like, where's our drum kit? And it was like, what do you mean? You need drums? And we're like, we're a band, dude. We're not DJs. Like, you don't get it. And he's like, oh, yeah, we'll find it. And then it would track us down some broken ass thing. Tommy'd be all pissed off. Yeah, but see, that stuff happened a lot. Like another weird one. One time we were doing Voodoo Fest in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And we were on before Bass Nectar again. We did a lot of shows with him. Tons. Like they were friends back the day. I don't know if they're friends now. Let's just get that.
Yeah, I
out
was about to
there.
say. Yeah. He got
He was always nice to me, but hey,
nice, but
yeah.
Hey, let's just like keep that note. You know.
I'm not inviting him over for dinner.
No.
So we did this show, and we would always hang out with Preservation Hall Jazz Band.
Oh, I saw them at Pemberton as well.
Yeah, they're great
They're
friends of ours.
phenomenal.
And they hit us up, and they're like, hey, do you want to come to a party at Pres Hall after this? It'll just be like a private party. And we're like, sure. And they're like, we'll invite some band back. We're like, cool, we'll show up. We go there, and they invited the headliner on the main stage. And the headliner on the main stage was The Cure.
Oh my gosh.
So it was just
you're at
us.
Preservation Hall.
We're at Press Hall with Ben, the owner of Press Hall. His family owned it forever. So we're hanging out with Ben. He's the tuba player. Hanging out with him and The Cure. It was just us. That's it, like locked down. And that was probably one of the weird, like, I met a lot of people, but that was one of the most like surreal things to be hanging out with Robert Smith, who's still in his stage clothes, like moon boots, like big puffy ass hair. And he's just drinking a can of beer, hanging out just like a buddy, making jokes. And the only thing you would notice that was weird was the fact that he had a bodyguard with him who would like guard the bathroom when he went in there and that kind of stuff. So that was a pretty weird experience. Nice ass guy though.
Wow.
And then I think David got his number and kept harassing him for years to do a collab with him.
Gotta shoot your shot.
I don't
right?
think that
Hey,
ever
man,
happened.
you
Maybe
know,
it did happen. I don't fucking know.
Damn.
But yeah, there's tons of stories kind of like that, you know, where it's just like you're in and out of places, you meet people, you're hanging out.
No, there's always those ones that like stick out, and that's just
Yeah, that
that's
was
beautiful.
a pretty crazy one.
That was dope.
Yeah. But like touring, yeah, it's 5 shows a week, 5 or 6.
It's your 9 to 5. It's your day job,
12
yeah.
hours a day. Like very little weird shit happens there. Your bus breaks down.
There's a.
That throws it off.
I always thought it was funny. Nico Case has a live album. Truck Driver Gladiator Mule is the name of it.
That's a cool album.
Because she said that's what you really do. You drive and you fight with people and you haul stuff around.
Yeah.
that's really your job.
Yeah, you load
You're a
stuff.
touring
My job was a
musician.
loader.
Yeah.
Really, I'm moving shit
Not
off
as
a
glamorous
trailer,
as it
put it
sounds.
back in. And then, yeah, arguing with people about money and settlement, and then arguing with a band. I mean, yeah, we would be out like 9 months a year for like 2 or 3 years straight. We started getting at each other pretty hard.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
It's pretty intense. Like, it's a fucked up lifestyle, really. Like, it seems fun on the outside, but once the wheels start moving, you got to make it like your income stream. It's not that fun. Getting on stage and playing music maybe is fun, but the crew side of it is definitely
It's a job.
work.
We go, you know, fuck it. I've been telling Rich for like the past like 2 years, man. When I finally get everything like lined up, he said he would do it.
Yeah.
One
Be your
tour.
tour
He
manager?
said he'll give me one
Okay.
tour.
And he'll make your snare sound good, too.
Yeah.
He said one tour.
Yeah.
After that, he's done. He's not doing it no more. But he said he'll do one.
I'll tell you my rate, man. You can pay it or not pay it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I'll go.
There it is. There it is.
If you're going overseas to a country I've never been, I'll give you discounts. That's the way I always do it.
Oh, easy.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Easy.
Get me to Japan.
I've never even been to Japan. I want to go to
I
Japan.
would tour Japan.
Top of my list, probably.
The gang, what was it like? Always Sunny. Like the gang.
The gang goes to Japan.
Yeah.
The gang tours Japan.
Go ahead.
You got something? Okay. There was a question I had, which was, you know, we've got a lot of bands coming up. They play house shows. They play these kind of DIY things. Maybe let's say their first show at the Wild Buffalo. What's the thing that you want the musicians out there listening to this to know about working with pro sound
Oh,
for the first time? Like
makes it
any words
easier.
of wisdom
it takes
for
getting
people?
used to, for sure.
Yeah.
The funny, like, definitely show up on time. Show up and make sure all your shit works. Like, have a basic understanding of how to plug your keyboard into a DI or acoustic. You know, if you're playing on a stage in a room with like 500, 1,000 or more people, and you bring your banjo, you know, maybe get a pickup for the banjo and not have like somebody try to mic it with a shitty mic. That's going to sound bad. Don't ask for a bunch of monitor of that, because that is definitely going to sound bad. I'm always fascinated by younger bands that come in, and I know that in their practice space, they don't have shit for reinforcement. So they got like one wedge that vocals are coming out of, nothing else going on in the room, and it probably sounds insane. And then as soon as they get on a stage where like everybody's got a really nice wedge and everything's mic'd up, all of a sudden they start asking for everything in the monitor. Like, I need more hi-hat, I need more lasers and haze in there. Turn it all up to where I have to be like, that stage volume is pretty loud, like,
It's gonna be blending
no
with that
wonder you
front
can't
row.
hear. Yeah, exactly. You can't hear stuff if you get everything in that wedge. It's going to turn into a pile of shit. You're going to hear mush. You might want to just pick the things that you need to hear to do your job.
Yeah.
You know, at some point, hopefully your band is practiced up enough that you don't even, you know, you should just be able to listen to the drummer for the most part and know where the hell you're supposed to be. But, you know, that's a little different. I'd say bring your own vocal mic, unless you like kissing other random people. Yeah, make sure all your cables work. If you're a DJ, Make sure your stuff is normalized. Make sure your stuff is mastered fairly evenly. Make sure it isn't real bright because a large PA will just sound even brighter and just rip people's heads off. That's a good one.
Sharp. That shit gets sharp.
Yeah, sharp, yeah.
I feel like every sentence you just said over the last 2 minutes represents at least one terrible evening at some point in your life.
Yeah, definitely.
And you just distilled it all down to everything you've had to suffer through.
Yeah. There's many. Oh, don't hit the drums next to the engineer's head while they're miking things.
Oh.
That's a good way to get really
How often
bad
does that
sound.
happen?
Younger bands probably, every other show. And I'll just stand there.
You saying 5 times out of 10?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, man.
And at this point over the years, I just kind of will smile and laugh it off, and then I'll go sit down by the bar and pour myself a beer. And then at some point, and this goes for the band just starting to rehearse on stage while you're setting up, I'll just go and mind my own damn business. And then they'll be like, hey, can we sound check? And we'll be like, oh, I was just waiting for you guys to get done rehearsing. And that's just always the way I put it. It's just like, it's you guys doing your thing. Like, I don't have a problem if you want to do that, but don't expect me to do my job.
Right.
I say that one a lot.
See, that's how you know you got a good sound guy, when he's pissed at you.
Yeah, but I try not to be pissed. I just try to be like, well, you're just going to do your thing. And if I just laugh and say, yeah, man, it's fine. I was just waiting for you guys to get done. That's cool. Like, whatever you want to do. It's your stage right now. And then sometimes, like, you always get for like a louder rock band or something, you always get the guitar player that's way too damn loud, right? Always. Like, somebody's got to bring in their 800 and, like, all this shit. So the way I deal with that is, as you sound check, that person plays and they're playing too loud, I just say, I really like the tone of that. I really like your amp. You kind of do the compliment sandwich, and you say, it feels a little trebly to me. Maybe you could back that off, so I'll get them to do that first, and then maybe they'll back the volume off. And then if they don't, I just bypass that, and as soon as the vocalist checks, I'll say, I really love your vocal sound. Are the vocals important in the show? And they'll say, yeah, of course. The vocalist is going to say that, obviously. And I'll say, well, okay, so I might have a little bit of a problem getting that vocal with how loud you're singing over the guitar. So you guys can work that out. And then I'll let the band deal with telling somebody something's too loud. As
you letting out
opposed
some
to me
secrets
being
right now.
the,
They
like,
go, dude, the
I don't want to be the grumpy sound guy. That guy fucking told me to turn down my shitty amp. Nope. The band gets to tell you that.
Hey, folks, just be prepared when you get out there and you meet your favorite sound person in the whole wide world. Just keep this in mind.
They have psychological strategies for dealing with you.
Definitely
apparently.
if you can make friends with a sound engineer, your sound's going to be better.
That was one of my.
You're going to be a dick to the sound engineer as soon as you walk in. Like, you're going to sound bad. Like, they're people.
good
We're
friend,
human beings, like, sitting there dealing with a job that's not that fun sometimes. 5 days a week. We've heard a 4-piece rock band many fucking times. We know what it should sound like coming off the stage.
Yeah.
In theory.
You
never know. But
my friend T, she told me, like, when you the first 3 people you need to talk to, or first people you need to make sure that you're good with when you get to the venue or whatever, sound person, the person you're gonna settle with,
yep.
sometimes the bartender.
Yeah, well, yeah, make friends with all of them quick.
Yeah,
The bartender's a good one.
That just makes the whole life easy.
Sound engineer can be tough, like, definitely from touring. Like,
I know, just
learned.
being
Like,
respectful and everything, like,
there's
right
a
off the bat,
reason, like,
introduce
it's
yourself.
a grumpy job. Like, I fucking get it.
Yeah, it is what it
I
is.
try to, like, make myself not seem too grumpy. Even though
You're really not that grumpy, bro.
It
You're not
happens,
that grumpy.
man. I joke around with people. I try to make friends with them. And touring forever, I see a lot of the same people come through that I've seen for years. Or like crew members that I worked with or have worked with my friends.
dope.
So it's always just like, hey, you work with this guy? Oh, yeah. And then we're friends. So that kind of helps too. Just experience stuff.
What are some of your favorite, like, it's like top 3 shows that you ran sound for? Like, people that you really wanted to see and you're like, holy shit, I'm running sound for this.
Oh, man. Big Business, I was a really big fan of for a long time. They would come around. I got to do sound for them quite a few times now. Built to Spill, but they usually have their own engineers.
Okay,
But getting to work for them was great. Thurston Moore from Sonic Youth. He was great. His show was excellent. He had his own engineer, but he was a really nice guy to chat with. Mike Watt. I love that guy. I mixed him a bunch of times. One of the few signatures that I ever got, like, on anything. You typically don't do that as a crew person.
Yeah.
It's like bad manners. But I got one from him. So that was a really good one. Lots of stuff like that, like indie rock stuff. That's the stuff I kind of gravitated toward for a long time. Now it's more aggressive music, but we don't get much of that really in this town, I guess.
Oh, there's
for the most
places.
part.
There's
I mean,
places.
Shakedown gets it, but you can only fit 200 people in that room or something.
Yeah.
So that's cool. King Buzzo was always funny to work for. I always liked seeing his stuff. Deerhoof, that was a great one. That was a really good show.
Yeah.
Amazing
So
drummer.
mad I missed that one.
We'll be right back after these messages.
You know that one record you're trying to find on vinyl from your favorite artist, you just can't find it. Have you ever checked out Black Noise? It's in the heart. It is the heart of Bellingham's music scene, founded by the one and only Nico Sanchez. They've got all sorts of indie gems, handpicked by Nico himself. Jazz, punk, you name it. Swing by for some good vibes and whatever album you're trying to find. 1312 Bay Street, Deppin. Binary Recording Studio is a versatile space designed to cater to all music genres. And when I say all, I mean all. If you're into jazz, rock, hip-hop, or anything in between, Binary is equipped to bring your music to life. With the expert engineering and the best setup, my boy Bob, he can capture the essence of whatever you are wanting to create and bring it, just to reality. From there, book your session today, unleash your creativity at Binary Recording Studio. But for real, my boy Bob, he will not disappoint.
And welcome back.
Dinosaur Jr. is always nice. I grew up listening to them a bunch, but I'm not the biggest fan of them live. It's just too loud, like too abrasive. He's so deaf at this point that like it doesn't sound good anymore, and he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's just like, no, I've got 3 full stacks, and for a monitor, he takes an 810. You know what that is? The big speaker cap. So they make covers for him, like big cases. So he put one of those cases in front of him, and then put like an amplifier on that, a Fender Twin, which is like notorious, like the brightest fucking amp. It's loud and bright, and he would aim that at his face, at his head level, and then he sings extremely quiet. So you've got screaming loud amp right at microphone level with a quiet singer. Not awesome.
Yeah.
Not physics right there. That's bad stuff. Like that's just not how the stuff works. So, great band. Let's see. Some of the Wilco people I got to work for, they were real nice.
Okay. We're gonna all right. So
Gregory Isaacs, he was really cool. He passed away.
I know everybody. My God.
Yeah, just grinding it out for years and years in like a room that gets people on the way up and gets people on the way down.
Yeah.
that's one of the most beautiful things about Bellingham, though.
Yeah.
It's like the perfect location.
Tucked away here. Yeah.
Macklemore, when he was coming up, he would always come to the Nightlight. He was always a really humble, nice guy. I always liked him. It's cool seeing him like get to where he
I saw a
got.
random documentary on YouTube recently. It was like some homies in Seattle, and Macklemore was like all over. It was like when he was working on like, his first album or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was always the guy like you that we call up. We get somebody through and like, oh shit, we need somebody to support this. Last minute, we get a hold of Ben, and he would come up and be like first to 4 all the time, and just super humble, to like take the work he could get. I didn't even know he got big, and I was on tour, and I was walking by a newsstand in an airport, and there was the Rolling Stone with him on the cover. I was like, what the fuck is Ben doing? Like, what the fuck? And I got a hold of Austin Santiago, who would always book him like way back in the day.
Yeah,
and I was like, what's up with this? And he was like, dude, he got huge. Like, I didn't know that. Like, yeah, fucking good on him. Nice ass guy.
Question that's kind of a flip side of what you're just saying. Is there, looking back on bands you've recorded or worked with, is there a band that sticks out, like ideally Bellingham or Seattle area, that you're just like, why didn't they ever get big? Or an album that you recorded it and you're like, people are going to love this, and then it just didn't quite like
Maybe wrong
give
time.
a shout out to something from the past.
So
that you
there's
think-
definitely a few. Kristen Allen Zito.
Yeah.
So she's easily one of the best songwriters I've ever met in my life. Her like writing style, her delivery, her personality on stage, absolutely phenomenal. I did her first record and it did well. Click Pop picked up the second one and they did that, and it would have done well, but she just couldn't deal with the business side of it, which is a huge thing. Like, you can be the best band in the world, but if you don't know how to fucking get out there and be professional and grind it out, even if you're amazing, you're never going to go anywhere. Another one, this band actually did get pretty big. They broke up, unfortunately, because their bass player passed away. It was Black Breath.
Oh yeah.
So I recorded their first record in my house on a 16-track 1-inch, and they did that record, and they were just some of the best players I've ever met. Like, the drummer in that band was the guitar player who wrote all the stuff, but
That's crazy.
couldn't find a drummer to do what he wanted, so he taught himself drums, and was just a killer drummer also. They went on to sign with Southern Lord, which is a big like heavy label, doom stuff, Sun O, and all this other kind of like heavy stuff. And they put out 4 records with that, and then Elijah passed away. But recently, last August, I got hit up because they came out with a box set on Record Store Day this year. And they were like, we still have those 16-track 1-inch tapes. So they did a transfer, and we remixed those.
That's great.
And that was the limited edition tapes in that box set. So that was pretty cool. Other bands that I thought should have gotten big. It's a tough one. Because, I mean, there was just so many good bands around town, but nobody, like, Bellingham is a tough place to tour out of. Like, nobody knows where it is. You can't really make the connections that you need here, which is why, like, the Death Cab people moved to Seattle. Yeah. Instead of, like, kicking it. I mean, Bellingham's a nicer place than Seattle, I would say. Right. But you got to, like, go where the work is. So they went there and they made it happen. But a lot of people would just have their great little bands here, you know, and be content with doing that, and it would never go anywhere. Or not anywhere, but just like where they wanted to.
Yeah,
they
where it
didn't want to
could've.
make a career out of it. It's just not a place to do that, unfortunately. Like, you can make music here. And
Do you
like,
believe that it could be, like, over time?
I don't think so.
But just because how it's, like, where it's located, like the
Where it's
actual hub
located
of,
and
or-
just the infrastructure for how many, you know, there aren't the industry people here. I mean, there are, but like not at like for like record labels and booking agents
the
and
capacity of how many people are down. Yeah,
right. I mean, you can't even really get a local band right now in this town to sell out more than maybe 100 tickets, which is pretty crazy.
challenge accepted, bro. Hold on.
Just for your set, I'm saying. Or just someone's set. You said challenge accepted, so I thought you meant for you.
I'll do it for me as well as I can. I'll probably pick like 3 bands that I think we could do that right now.
All original music.
Yeah.
'Cause
No,
it seems
no,
like-
not cover band. Not a
Yeah.
cover band. I'm talking about like just OG. Like
Okay.
you made it all yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other bands that I recorded. There's been so many. I'm like trying to think about just my wall. Robert Sayers and Blake. I did some stuff for him, and he's another phenomenal songwriter. And he's managed to tour and stuff, but I don't think he's ever gotten to the point where he could make a really, really sustainable, comfortable living. Like he might have like a day job or something. But he's a phenomenal player and a really great writer and a hard fucking worker. Julian McDonough, he's phenomenal too. Like an amazing drummer. I think he got to
Oh,
the
Julian.
point-
Like,
yeah.
like, okay, yeah. Julian's the shit.
Yeah.
He's
Shout out to
really
you,
good.
Julian.
Yeah,
You go,
he's-
bro.
Easily one of the best drummers I've ever worked with
sure.
in my entire life. Megatron back in the day, which was one of Julian's projects, with Delvon, who's now Delvon Organ Trio, and it tours all over the place. Megatron was amazing. It was more like heavy funk, Paul Chandler on trumpet. That was a really good one. That one could have gone somewhere, I thought. It definitely could have like been in the same level of like all the Scarrick projects and that the same world as that, and like touring hard doing that. You also got to want to have that lifestyle.
Yep.
You can't have friends.
Yep,
Can't
not
well.
for
You can
everybody.
have friends. You can't have family. You can't have a house. You can't have a day job. Like, you just got to be out there fucking grinding it.
Yeah. And that's a big thing that people just don't. Yeah.
You got to if you want it to be an income stream, you have to make it a job, and you have to treat it like a job. The band I played for, Black Eyes and Neckties, we got to the point where we were doing all right, doing like Bumbershoot, Capitol Hill Block Party, but that was after 6 years of work. We got a booking agent in the UK and did like a month-long tour there. And when we got back from that, we were all so burnt out from just grinding over the years that we're like, we should take a break, and never got back together.
But yeah, next time I've only
Yeah, that happens a lot. Who else was there up here? There was a ton of those like Estrus style bands, like Star Spangled Bastards.
That's a hard ass day, right?
Yeah. Star Spangled Bastards, they were fucking great. FedEx, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that band was phenomenal, and in my mind, they could have been bigger than they ever were. Like, they managed to tour, and like, but they were touring, probably doing like 300 to 500 cap rooms at the most. I think if they were around now, they'd be doing real well. They'd be in like like maybe not as big as Red Fang, but that same world.
That level, yeah.
Yeah, and they're
That's
great.
that might be another big thing about it. It's just like the actual timing of how everything plays out.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like what is accessible at that
Yeah.
time.
It's almost more accessible now to have that kind of music. You can kind of like find your niche and then monetize
that
it.
kind,
Whereas
yeah.
back in the day, we just kind of like,
Gotta-
let's go do some little punk shows
Right.
Yeah.
and get gas money. But I think Ben from FedEx. He does his Von Wildenhaus stuff now, and he's been doing great. That stuff is phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's one of the best guitar players and writers I've ever met. His style is amazing. I love his work. But yeah, I think they just went and did like a tour in the UK, maybe.
Sounds right.
Yeah, he's
I feel
got,
like
like-
they have been touring.
Yeah, lots of
Yeah.
interesting like
I
jazz
saw them at the
stuff. And
Shakedown, I think.
Yeah.
At some point, a couple years ago.
Wait, how many?
Devin Champlin, like Sons of
Yeah.
Rainier.
Oh yeah.
The one guy from Sons of Rainier, he's like big now, actually.
Yeah, Dean Johnson has
Yeah.
a separate.
I didn't even realize
Like a
that.
solo.
And it's amazing. And he's like sold a song and got it licensed on something. And yeah, he came to the Buff, and I was like, "Oh, this is a guy from Sons of Rainier," and it was like sold out. I'm like, what the?
Nah,
good to see you, Dean.
Single licensing
Yep.
is a
Yep.
different breed.
Yeah.
That's a different breed.
What is?
Single licensing, like just
Oh
like,
yeah.
That's where the money is now.
Yeah.
for real.
Yeah, Beats Antique ended up with a song on Sabrina, the Teenage Witch. And what was
Yeah.
funny, it was a song, we came to Bellingham and recorded in the studio on an off day and just made up a funny song on the spot. And that's the song they
what ended
picked.
up in
And
Sabrina.
I was like, I wrote that melody. And they were like, cool, we'll give you some cash. And I ended up getting some back end off of that one.
Oh, that's dope.
And the funny thing is, they use like the first 5 seconds
That's
of the
it.
song is it.
That's
It's
all it's
before the even melody like I wrote even started. It was just some weird ass
Just like,
kazoo
did
noise.
it? And a-
Yeah.
Perfect.
I was like, oh, I wanted to hear my song on here. Nah, I just got some money. I'll take it.
That's the crazy. People feel that you can write like a 3-minute song, but they only use 2
Yeah,
seconds
they
of that
straight
song.
up were
bro.
like, Rich, you gotta check it out. Your song's on there. The song, the Beats
You
Antique
said-
song that
and
you were
so
a part
ready to
of.
see it, and it is.
It was. doo-doo-doo. Wait, what? That's not a
did it.
song.
I did
That's
it.
like
I'm on TV.
there's no song there.
Said, look, ma.
Yeah.
All right, Rich. Well, man, fuck you.
What?
Fuck you.
All right, I'll take it.
This is phenomenal.
Trying to think. Yeah, there's so many weird stories from the studio.
You want to hit a studio story? Because I got one last question for you. If you want to hit a studio story first.
All right. No, you asked me the question.
Oh no, it's a closing question.
Oh, okay, well, give me that.
All right. What's one piece of advice you have for the people?
Well, that's what he asked me.
Yeah, but this is
No,
is
this is
always
just
as close. I was
the
talking about
people?
bands in particular. The
Bands.
people,
This
Just
is just
all
people.
the
This is
people.
life.
not the young musicians.
Life.
Just the people.
What's one piece of advice you want to give to people listening? They're in their car. All the homies right now listening to Shut Up Listen are in their car. They're at work. They just cleaning a house. They just might be sitting on the couch watching TV when life passing them by. They should sign up for I'm just kidding.
Okay, so yeah, find something in your life that you enjoy doing, whether it's art, any kind of creativity, fucking landscaping, like whatever. And if you can, figure out a way to not just monetize that, but make that a big part of your life. So you're not just hustling some job. You got this other thing to live for. Because I've got so many friends that do art, but do it on the side. And they've got this day job. And then they're always kind of sweating me like, dude, you've just been like touring these bands and shit. I'm like, I just kind of picked something that seemed fun to me that I could deal with doing for my rest of my life. And if I was to die today, I would have been happy with what I've done. I didn't work some job that I've been bummed out to
Bullshit-ass
save
job.
up money to have retirement to try to do what I already did.
Yeah, well,
So,
that's
yeah.
the dumb. I hate that.
Enjoy-
You know what?
Enjoy your life while it's here, as much as you can. Like, don't go broke and whatever. Like, you still got to pay your bills, but there's a lot
your
of ways.
bills, bro.
There's a lot of way to pay your bills. Just like don't just wait for the fucking end game.
You can pay your bills and have
Yeah.
fun.
I actually enjoyed the COVID times. I just got to sit around and make art. I was like, this is what I want to do when I retire. Everybody's like, this sucks. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I made music. I painted.
Bro, I
I
made
drew
a couple
shit. I
albums.
learned
Yeah,
how
I
to
mean,
cook.
if you're a creative
I was-
person, you,
Yeah,
you
it's
should
like-
never be bored.
This is the end game. Like, I want to sit in my house with the
Sometimes
people
do
that
need a
I
break,
love
though.
and make
I
shit.
need a little break. I play some video games for like a month and I come right back.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my thing. Enjoy what you're doing now. And if you can make money doing it, do it.
You heard it here first, folks. Get your money.
Yeah.
Stay happy.
Yeah.
Stay hydrated.
Yep.
What you
Well.
got for him, Jesse?
That's it. I don't
That's
know. Yeah.
He said that's all, folks. All right, Rich. Fuck you.
Fuck you, man.
Jesse.
Hey,
this
fuck
is
you.
Jesse's
hey.
real nice,
You know
man.
what,
You like
Bob? Hey, Bob.
I like Bob.
Fuck you, Bob. Love
Bob's
you, Bob.
Bob's got good hair, man.
Boy, this one's not going on
I
the
wish
radio.
my haircut
Yeah,
looked
this
like
was not the
Bob.
radio. But yeah, this is Shut Up and Listen. Thank you all for tapping in and listening. That means it's all about community. And I swear to God, this was so much fun.
Good.
Thank you for being
Glad.
here.
Thanks for being here. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could sit and talk about this for hours.
I know. I understand. Yeah. But hey, we'll do it again later. How
right.
about that?
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
Stay ugly, motherfuckers. Love y'all. Cut.
Thanks again for tuning in to Shut Up and Listen. For more captivating content, including videos, articles, and everything music related, visit our website at shutupbeham.com. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button wherever you get your podcast and join the conversation by following us at Shut Up and Listen Beham on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Shut Up and Listen is proudly produced by Rocket Soul and Binary Recording Studio. Stay tuned for more fantastic episodes.